The outpost on the far edge of human space was quiet. Too quiet. The stars outside looked like frozen diamonds, and only the soft hum of machines filled the night. Captain Elias was alone in his command room, reading old reports, when the alarm sounded. A delivery ship had just landed unannounced. Elias frowned. No cargo was expected that night. He walked to the landing bay, boots echoing against the cold floor. The air smelled of fuel and metal. The ship's door opened with a hiss, and two nervous workers rolled out a large sealed box. It was heavy, marked with strange alien symbols. "This is for you, Commander," one worker whispered. He looked pale, as if he didn't even want to touch it. The sender said it must not be delayed. "For me?" Elias asked, confused. He had not ordered anything. He had no reason to receive gifts. The workers left quickly, not daring to stay. The ship lifted off, disappearing into the stars. Elias stood alone in the bay with the strange box. The metal surface was dark, the marks glowing faintly like fireflies. It seemed alive. Elias called two guards and ordered the box carried inside. The soldiers muttered under their breath, uneasy. "Feels cursed," one said. "Looks like a coffin," said the other, when the box was finally placed in the command room. Elias studied it carefully. His fingers brushed against the alien markings. They pulsed under his touch as if answering him. Slowly, he unlocked the latch and lifted the lid. Inside was not a weapon, not gold, not technology. It was a girl. She was small, fragile, her skin a pale silver blue, her eyes wide with fear, glowing softly in the dark. She wore thin fabric, like ceremonial cloth. She looked more like a prisoner than a gift. For a moment, Elias could not speak. The girl shivered, shrinking back as if she expected punishment. "Who are you?" Elias asked softly, his voice steady, but his heart was racing. The girl shook her head. She did not answer. She seemed too afraid to speak. Her hands were bound with glowing bands, symbols etched across them. They looked painful. A data card lay inside the box. Elias picked it up. The alien language was rough to read, but one sentence was clear. "Gift for the warlord of Kreth. Handle with care." Elias froze. This girl was never meant for him. She was meant for one of the most feared alien leaders in the galaxy. The Kreth warlord was known for cruelty. Entire worlds had fallen under his command, and now, somehow, his gift had been delivered to a human outpost commander instead. The guards looked terrified. "Sir, this is a mistake," one said. "If the warlord learns we have her, he will come for us." Elias stared at the girl. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Her lips trembled. She whispered something in her language, soft and broken. The translator, on Elias's wrist, picked up only fragments. "Please, not again. Don't send me back." Those words hit Elias like a blade. She was not just a gift. She was a living being begging for freedom. The guards pressed closer. "Commander, we should seal the box and send it back at once," one urged. "This is too dangerous." But Elias did not move. He kept his gaze on the girl. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Only the soft hum of the machines and her trembling breath could be heard. Finally, Elias spoke. "No." His voice was calm, but firm. "She stays here." "The way." Guards gasped. "Sir, that's suicide. The warlord will kill us all." "Maybe," Elias said, "but I will not hand her over like a package." He looked down at the girl again, and for the first time she met his eyes. There was fear there, yes, but also a tiny spark of hope. Elias ordered the glowing bands removed from her wrists. The soldiers hesitated but obeyed. As the restraints fell, her skin glowed faintly brighter. She rubbed her wrists gently, as if she had not felt freedom in a very long time. She whispered again, this time clearer. The translator caught her words. "You keep me?" Elias nodded once. "Yes." The girl's breath caught. Her eyes widened, and for the first time she did not look afraid. She looked alive. But outside, the stars were not quiet anymore. A message was already racing through alien channels. The gift was missing, the wrong man had it, and the warlord would not rest until he took it back. The alien girl sat quietly in the corner of the command room. Her silver-blue skin shimmered faintly under the dim lights. Her eyes followed every movement, wary but curious. Captain Elias stood at his desk, reading the report again and again. The message on the data card was clear. She was meant for the warlord of Kreth, not for him. The guards waited nervously near the door. One finally broke the silence. "Commander, we must send her back. If we don't, the warlord will send his hunters. He will burn this station to ashes." Elias's jaw tightened. He looked at the girl. She sat hugging her knees, small and trembling but alive. Every part of her body told a story of fear, of someone treated as an object, not a person. Elias turned back to the guard. "And if we send her back? What then?" The soldier hesitated. "Then she will be where she belongs." "Belongs?" Elias repeated, his voice cut sharp. "Do you see chains on her wrists? Do you see fear in her eyes? She does not belong there. She was not born to be given away like a trinket." The guards exchanged uneasy glances. One muttered, "Sir, with respect, this is not about her. This is about survival. If we defy the warlord, he will come. He will not stop until he has her." Elias looked at them, his face hard. "Then let him come." The room fell silent. The words hung heavy. No one dared speak. The girl slowly lifted her head. Her voice was soft, broken. "You not send me back?" Her translator bracelet caught her words, turning them into trembling English. "No," Elias said. "Steady. You are safe here." Her eyes widened. She pressed her hands together, as if she could not believe it. For the first time, the faintest trace of a smile touched her lips, but the silence did not last. By the next morning, whispers spread through the outpost. Everyone had heard. The commander had received a gift meant for the warlord, and he had refused to return it. Some called him brave, others called him a fool. At the mess hall, soldiers whispered over their meals, "Does he want to start a war? We'll all die for one alien girl. The warlord won't forgive this." Fear spread like smoke. Meanwhile, Elias kept the girl close. He tried to learn her name. At first she only shook her head, too afraid to share it. But one night, when the outpost was quiet and the stars burned bright outside, she whispered it, "Liara." Her voice was shaky, but Elias repeated it with care. "Liara." He said it again and again until she smiled shyly. For her, it was the first time someone had spoken her name with kindness. Days passed. Hunters appeared in nearby systems, alien ships scanning for signals. Each report made the soldiers more restless. Some came to Elias begging him to change his mind. "Send her back, sir," one pleaded. "She is not worth the lives of this station." Elias stood tall, his eyes burned with quiet fire. "You are wrong. Every life is worth it, even hers." The soldier lowered his gaze, unable to argue. One evening, Liara sat by the window, staring at the stars. She spoke softly. "Always. Gift, always past, never kept, never free." Her voice cracked. "Why? You different?" Elias did not answer right away. He looked at her carefully. He saw the chains still in her heart, even if the glowing bands were gone. He finally said, "Because you are not a thing. You are not a gift. You are a person. And no one has the right to take that from you." Tears welled in her glowing eyes. She turned her face away. But Elias saw them fall. That same night, the first threat arrived. A message beamed through the comm system. The voice was harsh, cruel, echoing with power. "Human commander, you have something that belongs to me. Return the girl or I will tear your outpost apart. I will take her from your bones." The guards looked at Elias, pale with fear. But Elias did not flinch. He sent his reply, his voice steady. "She is not yours. She will never be yours. If you want her, come and take her. The comm line went silent. The threat lingered in the air like a storm. Liara had heard every word. She came closer, her small hands clutching Elias's sleeve. You protect me? Elias nodded. With my life. Something changed in her then. The spark in her eyes grew brighter, fragile but real. For the first time she believed, but everyone else knew the danger was real too. The warlord's hunters were already on their way. Ships would soon appear in the black sky and the outpost would become the battlefield. The soldiers asked again one final time, "Sir, please, return her. Save us all." Elias's answer was the same, his voice iron. No. And so the fate of the station was sealed. The commander had refused the warlord. He had refused fear. He had chosen one trembling alien girl over safety. The galaxy would remember this refusal, for it was the moment a single human said no to the most feared warlord alive. And somewhere, in the stars, the warlord's eyes burned with fury. His ships turned toward the human outpost, ready for war. The outpost was no longer quiet. Everyone knew the warlord's hunters were coming. The soldiers prepared their weapons. The engineers checked defenses. Yet inside the commander's quarters, there was a strange calm. Liara sat at a small table, watching Elias carefully. Her glowing eyes followed his every move. She had never been treated like this before. Never given space. Never given freedom. Elias offered her a plate of food, bread and stew, simple but warm. She touched it carefully. Her hands shook. She looked at him as if asking for permission. "Eat," Elias said gently. "It's yours." She took a bite. Slowly her eyes widened. The taste was new, strange, but real. For a moment she forgot fear. A tiny laugh escaped her lips, the sound soft like music. Elias smiled faintly. It was the first time he had heard her laugh. That night, Liara followed Elias around the outpost. She stayed close, curious about everything. She touched the walls, the blinking lights, the humming machines. So much. Different, she whispered. The translator bracelet repeated her words in a soft voice. Different good, or different bad? Elias asked. She tilted her head, thought for a moment, then said, different, free. Elias stopped walking. His chest tightened. He realized how little freedom she had ever known. He nodded slowly. Yes, free. In the days that followed, the bond between them grew. Elias taught her simple human words. Home, safe, friend. She repeated them with care, her voice shaky but stronger each day. He also gave her clothes from the outpost supply, a simple jacket that was too big, but she hugged it to herself as if it were treasure. But even as she smiled more, shadows lurked outside. Scouts were spotted near the edge of the system. The warlord's hunters were close. The soldiers grew restless. Many still believed Elias was risking all their lives. One evening, a group of soldiers confronted him in the hall. Commander, with respect, this has gone too far. She's not worth the blood we'll spill. Elias stood firm. She is worth it. Every life is worth it, the soldiers argued. You're blinded, sir. She's not one of us. She's dangerous. At that moment, Liara stepped out from behind Elias, her glowing eyes bright with fear. She whispered, Not dangerous, I want. Stay. The soldiers stared at her. Their hands twitched on their weapons. For them, aliens were threats, not people. Elias raised his voice, sharp and commanding. Stand down. The soldiers obeyed, but their eyes were filled with doubt. That night, Liara sat quietly by the window again. The stars stretched endless outside. She spoke softly. Always, people fear me. Always, run. But you? Not run. Elias turned to her. I don't see a monster. I see someone who needs a chance. Her hands trembled. She whispered, You make me feel alive. For a long moment, silence filled the room. The bond between them was no longer just protector and protected. It was something deeper, fragile, but strong. The next day, danger struck. A scouting drone slipped past defenses and found her. It buzzed into the command room, red lights flashing. Elias shouted for cover. The guards raised their weapons. Liara froze, fear in her eyes. Then something strange happened. Her body glowed brighter. Her hands lifted on their own. A surge of energy burst out, pure light slamming into the drone. The machine shattered into pieces, sparks raining across the floor. Everyone stood in shock. Elias stared. Liara gasped, terrified of what she had done. She backed into the corner. No, no, please, don't hate me. But Elias did not move away. He stepped closer, calm. His voice was steady. You saved us. You're not a curse. You're not a monster. Liara shook her head, tears in her eyes. Always. They use me. My power, gift, curse, always past, never wanted. Elias knelt down, meeting her eyes. I want you here, not for your power, not as a gift, for who you are. Her breath caught. The spark in her eyes grew brighter. This time she did not hide her tears, she let them fall. From that moment something changed. The soldiers who had seen her power no longer only feared her, they also began to whisper in awe. Maybe she is more than just a gift, maybe she's something greater. Elias knew the truth. She was not just valuable to the warlord, she was dangerous to him. If she stayed free, she could change the galaxy. She was not just a girl, she was a force. But Liara did not care about the galaxy. All she cared about was the one man who had not returned her, the one who had looked into her eyes and said, "You are free." And though the bond between them grew stronger, Elias knew it came with a price. For every step closer they became, the warlord's shadow crept nearer. His hunters would come with fury. And when they did, the bond between one human and one alien girl would be tested in fire. The outpost, no longer felt safe. The moment Liara destroyed the enemy drone, Elias knew the warlord would know where to search. The galaxy was wide, but hunters were faster, stronger, and crueler. The soldiers doubled patrols, scanners swept the skies every hour. Still, the air felt heavy, as if danger already breathed. Inside the walls, Liara sensed it too. She clung close to Elias, her glowing eyes full of worry. Hunters come, she whispered one night, her voice shaking. Always. They find me. Elias put a steady hand on her shoulder. Then we'll make sure they don't take you. But even he knew the odds. The Kreth hunters never stopped. They followed like shadows. And when they came, few survived. The first sign came at dawn. A patrol ship reported strange movement beyond the asteroid field. Black ships gliding silently, their engines cold, their weapons hot. The hunters had arrived, the outpost scrambled, alarms blaring. Soldiers ran through the halls, weapons ready. Elias stood in the command room, eyes sharp. His second officer, Karev, whispered harshly, "Commander, we can't win this, send her away, save the station." Elias shook his head. "No, she stays." Outside, the black ships circled, their lights searching. Hunters in dark armor landed on the surface. Their claws dug into the ground as they moved. They were not just soldiers, they were predators. Inside, Liara trembled. She could hear them even through the walls. Her body shook with fear. Elias bent down to her level, his voice calm. "Listen to me. You are not alone anymore. They won't take you." She nodded, but her hand still glowed faintly. Her power responded to her fear. Elias worried the soldiers would see her as dangerous again, but he also knew they needed her. Her power was their only chance. The hunters broke through the first line of defenses. They moved fast, their weapons cutting down walls of steel. The outpost shook under their attack. "Commander, they're inside." A soldier shouted. Elias gave quick orders. "Seal section. 3, hold the main gate, keep Liara hidden." But Liara stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. "No, I help, I fight." Elias hesitated. He did not want to use her power, not when she had only just begun to heal. But he saw the fire in her eyes, fragile but real. She was tired of being prey. "Stay with me then," Elias said. "We face them." Together, the hunters stormed the hall. Their eyes glowed red under black helmets. Their weapons hummed with deadly light. The soldiers opened fire. Blasts of energy lit the corridors. The sound shook the walls. Elias fought at the front, his rifle steady. Each shot dropped a hunter, but more poured in. It was a flood of shadows. Then, Liara stepped forward. Her body glowed brighter. She lifted her hands, light bursting out like fire. The energy struck the hunters, throwing them back, shattering their weapons. The soldiers gasped, stunned. For a moment, they had hope. But the hunters were clever. They spread out, trying to flank her. One slipped through, claws raised. Elias fired, taking it down just before it reached her. Liara froze, tears in her eyes. Dangerous, I hurt. Elias turned to her, voice hard. No, you save, not hurt. Never forget that. She nodded slowly, holding on to his words like a lifeline. The battle raged through the halls. Soldiers fell, walls cracked. But Liara stood. Tall beside Elias, every surge of her power pushed the hunters back. For the first time in her life, she was not a tool passed from hand to hand. She was a fighter, choosing her own path. After hours of fighting, silence fell. Smoke filled the air. Bodies of hunters lay broken across the floor. The soldiers stared. At Liara with awe and fear, some whispered, "She's a weapon, more powerful than anything we've seen." Others whispered, "Maybe she's our only hope." Elias stood tall, his face stern. "She's not a weapon. She's a person, remember that." But deep inside he knew the truth. Her power was far greater than they understood. And if the hunters had come, the warlord himself would not be far behind. That night, Liara sat by the window again. Her glowing eyes reflected the stars. She spoke softly. "Always hunted, never safe, but with you. I fight, I not run." Elias sat beside her, his voice calm. "Then we fight together." She looked at him, her voice almost a whisper. "You, mine, I yours?" Elias paused, his heart heavy but steady. "Yes," he said. "You are not a gift. You are not his, you are free. But if you choose me, then yes, I am yours, and you are mine." Her eyes glowed brighter, not with fear, but with something new, something warm. For the first time, Liara felt what it meant to belong, not as property, but as a person. But outside, in the endless dark, the warlord's flagship stirred. He had seen the failure of his hunters. His rage burned across the stars. He would come himself, and when he did, the chase would turn into war. The outpost was scarred from the attack. Walls were cracked. Smoke filled the air, and soldiers carried the wounded to the infirmary. Yet through all the pain and fear, one truth became clear. The hunters had failed. Liara had saved them. The soldiers could not stop whispering about her. Some called her a miracle. Others called her dangerous still. They all agreed on one thing. The warlord would not stop. If hunters had fallen, the full fleet would come next. Elias stood in the command room, staring at the galaxy map, red marks flashing where enemy ships had been sighted. His face was grim. He knew they were only buying time. The warlord was coming closer. Liara entered quietly. Her silver-blue skin glowed faintly in the dim light. She walked slowly, as if carrying a weight too heavy. Her eyes met Elias's, and for a moment, silence passed between them. Finally she spoke, her voice low. "Elias, I must tell. Truth." Elias turned to her, concern on his face. "What truth?" She hesitated, then placed her hand on the glowing symbols that once bound her wrists. "I am not only gift, not only slave. I am key." "Key?" Elias repeated, confused. Liara nodded. Her voice trembled. "Long ago, before Warlord, my people built something, a weapon, old, powerful. It sleeps in dark space, waiting. I am bloodline, I can wake it." Elias's chest tightened. The pieces began to fit. The reason the warlord wanted her. The reason she had been sent like cargo. "He wanted you to awaken it for him," Elias said slowly. Liara lowered her head, shame in her eyes. "Yes, he wanted power to rule galaxy. He wanted me as tool." The room felt colder. Elias realized what it meant. If Liara's words were true, she was not just a girl running from hunters. She was the only being in the galaxy who could awaken an ancient weapon strong enough to destroy worlds. Liara stepped closer, tears in her eyes. Now you see, I am Curse. If I stay, danger follows. If I leave, danger follows. Always danger. Elias shook his head, his voice firm. You are not a curse. You didn't choose this. He made you believe that, but you are more than what he wants from you. Liara looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter. But what if I cannot control it? What if I burn all, not only him? Elias reached out, placing his hand gently over hers. Then I'll stand with you. If you burn, I burn. If you fight, I fight. But I will never let you face it alone. Her breath caught, her lips trembled. For the first time, her tears were not of fear, but of relief. That night, Elias gathered his officers. He told them the truth. Some gasped, some cursed. One shouted, "She's a weapon. That's why the warlord wants her. She's too dangerous to keep." But Elias's voice cut through the noise, strong and sharp. She's not a weapon, she's a person, but yes, she is powerful. That is why the warlord wants her. That is why we must protect her. If she falls into his hands, the galaxy falls. With her, the room went silent. The officers looked at one another, finally realizing the weight of the choice. Liara stood in the corner, listening. She hugged the oversized jacket Elias had given her. It was the first thing that was hers. Not taken, not stolen hers, she whispered to herself. Not gift, not curse. Maybe choice. The following day, Elias took Liara to the observation deck. Stars stretched wide, endless and cold. He pointed to a faint glow in the distance. That's where the old maps say the weapon sleeps. Is that what you feel? Liara's body shivered. Her eyes widened. Yes, I feel it, it calls. Like voice in dark. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and warm. Then we'll face it before the warlord does. We'll end his chase, not by running, but by standing. Liara's heart pounded. For so long she had only been carried from one prison to another. Now for the first time she had a direction, a choice. Her voice shook but grew firm. Yes, with you I face it. But deep inside, fear still gnawed at her. She knew what awakening. The weapon meant it could destroy the warlord, but it could also destroy everything else. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "What if, in end, I am monster?" Elias turned to her, his gaze strong. "Then I'll be the fool who stood beside a monster, but I believe in you, Liara, more than he ever will." Her eyes glowed brighter. She pressed her hands against her chest, as if holding those words inside. Her heart outside the station, more enemy ships appeared on the scanners. The warlord was moving faster. His hunger for the weapon drove him, and now he knew exactly where the key was. With the wrong man, the chase had become a race to reach the ancient weapon first, a race where one fragile bond between a human and an alien girl could decide the fate of the galaxy. The galaxy grew darker as the warlord's fleet spread across the stars. His black ships blocked the light of suns. His voice thundered across every channel, cold and cruel. "Human commander, return what is mine, or I will take her from the ashes of your bones." Inside the outpost, silence followed the threat. Soldiers looked at one another with fear. Some whispered, "We cannot win this." Others muttered, "We will all die for one alien girl." But Elias stood tall in the command room, his eyes locked on the incoming fleet, his voice steady as steel. "Then let us die free, not chained." The soldiers straightened, fear still in their eyes, but his words gave them fire. If they were doomed, they would face it head-on. Liara stood beside him, her small hands clenched tight. She felt the weight of his choice. He was not only protecting her, he was risking everyone for her. Her glowing eyes filled with tears. Why? Why risk all for me? Elias turned to her, his voice calm. Because you are worth it. Because for too long you have been treated as a thing. Tonight, you will know what it means to be someone's own. Her breath caught. She had no answer, only the warmth of his words echoing inside her heart. The fleet drew closer. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed across the halls. Soldiers rushed to battle stations. The ground trembled as the first wave of enemy fire struck the shields. The outpost shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The war had begun. Elias gave orders quickly. "Hold the main gate. Focus fire on their transports. Don't let them land." The soldiers obeyed, cannons blazing, ships lit up the dark like falling stars. Explosions bursting in silence, but the warlord's fleet was endless. For every ship destroyed, 2 more came. Liara felt the storm inside her. Her power stirred, begging to be released. She looked at Elias, fear in her voice. "If I fight, I might destroy all, not just them." Elias met her eyes. "If you don't, he will destroy all anyway. Trust yourself, trust me." She closed her eyes, breathing hard. Then she stepped forward, her body glowing brighter than ever. Energy surged. From her hands, streams of light cutting across the sky, tearing through enemy ships. Soldiers gasped, awe in their voices. "She's holding them back," but the warlord had expected this. His deep laughter rolled across the comms. "Yes, show me your power, Key. Show me what I will take from his dead hands." Liara's body shook. Her power poured out, too strong, too wild. The outpost floor cracked under her light. She screamed, "I cannot. Control it." Elias rushed to her, gripping her shoulders, his voice sharp. "Liara, listen to me. You are not his. You are not a tool. You are mine. You are free. Control it for you, not for him." Her breathing steadied. Her glow became sharper, not wild but focused. Her light struck with precision, ripping through the warlord's command ships. Soldiers cheered, hope surging, but then the shadow fell. The warlord's flagship emerged from the dark, larger than a city. Its guns glowed red, its hull black as night. His voice roared again. "I come myself, human. You will bow, or you will burn." The outpost shook as the flagship fired. Shields, cracked walls shattered, men and women fell. The station could not hold much longer. Elias clenched his fists. His voice rang out. "This is it. Stand with me, fight with me, for humanity, for freedom." The soldiers roared, weapons blazing, ships launching into the sky. A final stand. Liara stood at the center, her body glowing like a star. She turned to Elias, whispering, "If I release it all, I may destroy you too." Elias smiled faintly. "Then let me burn with you. I will never let him have you." Tears streamed down her face, but she nodded. Her glow rose higher, the light blinding, her voice strong, no longer trembling. "I am not gift, I am not tool, I am Liara, and I choose." Her power burst outward, a storm of light tearing through the warlord's fleet. Ships shattered, fire streaked the stars. The battlefield turned into a sea of burning wreckage. The warlord's voice roared in fury, but even his flagship trembled. For the first time he felt fear. Inside the chaos, Elias stood firm, shielding soldiers, guiding them. His eyes never left Liara. She was no longer the trembling girl in a box. She was a force that shook the galaxy. But the cost was heavy. The outpost crumbled under the strain. Shields collapsed. Corridors burned. The war was far from over. Still, when the light dimmed, the fleet was broken. Thousands of hunters destroyed. The warlord forced to retreat, his fury burning, his vow of revenge louder than ever. As silence fell, Liara collapsed into Elias's arms, her body weak, her glow fading. She whispered, "Did I save?" Elias held her close, his voice soft. "You did, Liara. You saved us all." Her eyes closed, but a faint smile touched her lips. For the first time in her life, she was not afraid, and though the warlord still lived, though his shadow still stretched, across the stars a new light had risen, the bond of a human and an alien girl, a stand that would echo across the galaxy. The outpost was broken, fires burned through shattered halls, smoke curled into the night sky. The shields were gone, the cannons silent. Bodies lay where brave soldiers had fallen, yet against all odds, the station still stood. Elias carried Liara through the wreckage, her body weak, her glow faint. She had poured out everything in the battle, but her spirit still burned. She whispered against his chest, "The warlord, still alive." Elias nodded grimly. Outside the windows of the command deck, the warlord's massive flagship still lingered, scarred but not destroyed. His voice thundered across the comms once more, full of fury. "You think you have won, human? No, you have only delayed your death. The key is mine. She cannot escape her fate. She was made to awaken what sleeps." Liara trembled in Elias's arms. Her voice shook. "He is right. I am tied, I feel it. The weapon calls. It waits for me." Elias set her down gently, his eyes locked on hers, firm and steady. "Then you have a choice, Liara. You can let him chain you to that weapon, or you can decide what to do with it yourself." Her breath caught. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever told her she had a choice. All her life she had been given away, used, passed from hand to hand. Now, for the first time, she was free to decide. The warlord's fleet regrouped. His ships formed a wall of black steel. Weapons. Glowing red, his flagship opened its massive cannons aimed directly at the outpost. "Decide quickly, girl. Will you obey me and awaken the weapon, or will you burn with these weak humans?" The soldiers in the command room looked to Elias. Fear filled their eyes. They had fought bravely, but they had nothing left. They could not survive another wave. Elias turned back to Liara, his voice low but strong. "Listen to me. You are not a gift, not a curse. You are Liara. You are free. The choice is yours. Whatever you decide, I will stand with you." Her glowing eyes filled with tears. Her heart pounded. She had dreamed of freedom, but freedom was heavy. It meant the weight of choice. It meant responsibility. It meant power. The warlord's laughter shook the air. "Choose, girl. Burn for me, or die with him." Liara rose slowly to her feet, her body still weak, but her light growing. She faced the massive window, looking out at the black fleet. Her voice rang clear. "I choose." The soldiers held their breath. Elias's heart pounded. "I choose not to obey you," she cried. Her glow burst outward, brighter than ever before. "I choose freedom. I choose life. I choose him." The warlord roared in rage. His fleet opened fire. Cannons blazed. Red light filled the sky. But Liara raised her hands. Her power surged, stronger and sharper than before. She did not fight with fear now. She fought with choice. Her light formed a shield around the station, enemy fire breaking like waves against stone. Her voice echoed through the comms carried by her power. "I am not your key, I am not your weapon, I am Liara, and you will never own me again." The shield grew brighter, expanding outward. It slammed into the warlord's ships, tearing through them like paper. Explosions lit the dark one after another. His fleet burned, scattered across the stars. Finally, the great flagship shuddered, flames pouring from its engines. The warlord's furious roar filled the air one last time, then faded into silence as his ship tore apart, swallowed by fire. The battle was over. The soldiers cheered. Their voices rose like thunder. They had stood against the most feared warlord in the galaxy, and lived, but Liara collapsed again, her glow fading fast. Elias caught her, holding her close, his heart hammered with fear. "Stay with me, Liara. Don't leave me now." Her faint smile returned, her voice barely a whisper. "I am free now. Free because of you." Elias shook his head, his grip firm. "No. You are free because of you. You chose. You stood. You saved us all." Her tears sparkled in the dim light. She pressed her hand weakly against his chest, right over his heart. "Then, I am yours, not as gift, not as tool, but as me." Elias closed his eyes, holding her tightly, his voice steady but full of emotion. "And I am yours." The fires of battle faded. The stars shone bright once more. The galaxy was forever changed. The warlord was gone, his shadow broken, and in the silence of the aftermath, one truth echoed through history. She had been sent as a gift to the wrong man, But he had never returned her. He had made her his own, not by chains, not by force, but by giving her freedom, and that choice, her choice, would be remembered for generations. A story of a human and an alien girl, a story of defiance, of hope, of freedom.